Okay, yeah, I'm recording. All right, so we have our 4 functions. So a big part of this chapter is learning some weird names. So you're going to have to bear with me on how to name some of this stuff. We got a few different categories, okay? Muscles are named by their size, the shape, the direction of the fibers that they run. So if something is going at a diagonal, it would be called oblique. If it's going up and down or across, it might be rectus. Okay, we'll figure that out here in a minute. The location. Is it lateral? Is it interior? Things like that. Number of organs.
Look at this video.
The action it performs. Where it originates and inserts. Do you know what I mean by origin and insertion? If you get your book with you, look at page
1.
So if you can look at page 146, that's the posterior view of this guy. What I mean by origin and insertion is like this muscle right here. Whoa. Right here. It might originate underneath the layers of this muscle and it's inserted here, meaning it has a little bit different structure on this end. So you got origin and like the beginning and the end of a muscle.
I gotta save that one.
And that's it. So we're going to talk about a couple of these names real quick. I'm not going to go through all of them. I would strongly encourage you to get this slide and look at some of these. Even when we're in class, like it takes forever to go through all this stuff. People start drooling and their eyes roll in the back of their head when I'm talking about it. I will go through the sizes though. Some of the sizes are, all the sizes are pretty easy to remember. We got ascus, meaning large. Actually, that one's huge. Maximus. That one means large. Longus. Guess what that one means? Minimus, which is small. And then for short, it's actually brevis, like a brief period of time. Okay. So these big old scary Latin names of muscles shouldn't scare you. Think about it a little bit.
Anna, you didn't empty bag.
Shapes are pretty cool. We got deltoid. Looks like a triangle. A rhomboid. It's just like, you know what? Rhomboid, I'm not going to lie. I cannot figure out how. Oh, actually, I do know what a rhomboid is. It was trapezius that was a problem for me. Never been able to figure out why they call it trapezius. Latissimus means like wide. So if you look here, big muscle right here. Latissimus dorsi. It's the swimmer's muscle. So when you see people working this out, they've got a big muscle right here popping out. It's the widest and the flattest and the strongest muscle in the back of the latissimus dorsi, meaning dorsal, posterior or back side of it. Teres is another one. And if you think of terra firma, like the name for planet Earth, it's a round ball. Teres means round. This is a trapezoid here. So some shapes, and then the directions of the fibers. A couple of those are orbicularis, meaning they're round like a circle. They orbit. Oblique, rectus, which means straight. Transverse. Who thinks they know where that runs?
Across.
Across, that's right. Just like the transverse plane goes across. Locations are pretty easy. These would be like lateralis, which means it's lateral, and gluteus is another one on your butt, and pectoralis, your chest. Brachii is arm. With regards to number of organs, a good example is the bicep. So this actual name of this muscle is bicep brachii, and we just learned that was in the arm, right? If it's got two heads on it, that means it's bicep. And then the opposite, or another example is tricep brachii, meaning it's still in the arm, but there's three heads on that one. This is my favorite muscle, I think. Okay, so I showed you the back side of that guy's leg. Let me see if I can pull up my book real quick here. Everybody see that okay? It says page 143. I don't know if that's the same one you are looking at, but
It is.
hang on, let me make sure this is going to stay on top here. Okay, so you got this muscle right here. Can I zoom in on this? Nope. So this muscle right here that's running up the back of their head going down this way, you can see it says this, it's got this big old weird nasty name on it. Sternocleidomastoid. Okay, the sternocleidomastoid muscle. This is the muscle that when you turn your head, it will help you pull your head to the left or the right. So right here is your mastoid process, right? You remember me telling you all about that little hump behind your ear? It can get tender sometimes when you get mastoiditis. This is where this muscle originates at. And it runs over your clavicle bone. And it connects to your sternum right here. So it's the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So it's not really that complicated when you break it down a little bit, right? I think it's pretty much the exception in this for that type of muscle and that big of a name. So let's talk about the muscles in the face for a second. We're going to come down here. I think I covered all these. Action. Okay, the action. I'll go over those here in a minute because those are a separate chapter you need to study. And as I list these out, these are the ones it's fair game for testing, okay? Like if I want you to memorize some muscle names, you should be able to name these muscles I'm listing out with you right now. Okay, the first one we got is frontalis. Guess what? It's the front. It's on the front. So easy. Just like your frontal bone was up there in your skull. Here is your orbicularis ori. I'm sorry, this is the, not the ori, orbicularis.
Lay down, meow.
Ocular. It's ocular around your eyeball. This is the orbicularis ori here. Or orbicularis oris. Everybody can see what I'm writing here? Doing okay? Will follow along with me? I don't have a lateral view, but this one on the side of the head, who wants to guess the name of that one?
Temporalis.
Temporalis. Just like that's the temporal bone in your skull. Okay, some I can't really picture right now, but if you look at the pictures in your book, you'll definitely have it. talking about this one right here, masseter, okay, and buccinator. Masseter is the one that's more superficial. Masseter, it's what you chew with. If you ever heard of somebody say, I'm masticating, I masticate your food, it means chewing. And this buccinator is your cheek. So if you want to blow or whistle, you can puff your cheeks out. That's what muscle is doing as the buccinator. This word right here means cheek. How do you spell cheek? Somebody, let's check. I'm trying to write it.
CHEEK.
So this is the inhale. That's the buccal aspect of your mouth. We call that buccal side. Point to the inside of the cheek. The opposite side is the lingual. Just to kind of, I'll demonstrate this one more time. If I've got tooth here, say I'm looking at my jaw from the top down. Here's my molars, here's my premolars, here's my incisors. Well, this side is going to be towards your cheek, and this is going to be the lingual side. And then if I did the same thing over here, this would be the lingual, and this would be the buccal or buccal side, whichever way you want to call it. And the buccinator is that muscle in your cheek. Any questions about that? So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 muscles in the face. The 7th one was this sternocleidomastoid. Okay. This guy's kind of got like a weird "I'm going to murder you" look in his face. Let's look at the trunk. Trying to find a good color to highlight these with. Okay. If y'all can't see it, just let me know. I'll be happy to try to change something around. The major ones we learn on the trunk actually the back are, for the posterior, are these right here. Erector spinae. And they do just like they say. They keep you erect, sitting straight up and down. Were you waving at me, Melissa?
No, telling my kid to go away.
And then I've already kind of talked to you about this latissimus dorsi here, also known as the swimmer's muscle. Latissimus dorsi, I'm sorry. I'm not going to ask you about deep back muscles, or if you're looking at your slides, just these 2 superficial ones. Our other ones we can't see on the trunk here that are deep are muscles of inspiration, like what we use to breathe. If you all remember what I talked about in the skeleton, in this area right here, in between your ribs. This is called intercostal space. And you have muscles, deep muscles, superficial here. So you got like two layers. So there's external and internal intercostal muscles. And if you can just remember that word costal means in between your ribs, you'll be fine. But these are the muscles that help us breathe. When we involuntarily take a breath in and out, it's these muscles that expand our chest and allow it to recoil and come back to where it's supposed to be. The last muscle that we can't really picture is the diaphragm. Okay. If you remember way back from chapter 5, it's what separates the abdominal cavity from the thoracic cavity. It's a muscle that when you breathe in, your chest expands. This muscle also helps it, and then it comes back whenever you're done. This is also a muscle that's involuntarily spasming with hiccups. There's something about eating something spicy that activates this muscle like that. I never know. And so this is your thoracic wall here, your thoracic muscles in your trunk. That is 1, 2, 3 there. Moving on. Let's talk about the trunk here. So if you can look, if I can zoom in without it jumping out on me. These muscles right here, their fibers run up and down, okay? I'm gonna go this way. This is the rectus abdominis. It's what gives you your six-pack, if you've ever had one of those. I did for about a minute in 6th grade. That was long gone. Transverse is, they're deeper. You can't really see them. You also got your, well, I can't really see those either. I would need a cutaway view to see the ones underneath, like external and internal oblique. These are serrated. That's not the name for those. Let me look in my book real quick. I'll make sure I'm giving you the right information. Yeah, I'm sorry. So these right here are external obliques. Page 144 gives a good view of these layers. I was trying to remember the name of these little they got like a name like something to do with serrated, like the teeth in the knife, but I can't remember. The only ones I'm going to ask you to be responsible for are these two, though, for the abdominal. And that pretty much covers our head and trunk. Our neck, didn't really mention that one. We got our trapezius. It's considered part of your head and neck muscles. We kind of group those under that. Okay, there are some other muscles here in the floor of your pelvic cavity that help with urination and defecation and things like that. But I'm not going to get into those for this purposes of this class. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 7 on the other one, right? I'm going to count this one as 8 with that trapezoid. I'm doing back 4, chest wall was 3. That was the diaphragm, internal and external costal. We need to do our shoulder, arm, rump, thigh, kind of keep track about what we're talking about here. All right, so let's look at our arm. Obviously, we've got our bicep. And right here is our tricep. Right. I wish I had brought my model home of my arm. You'll see the model we had in class for a long time. You can take all these muscles apart and see how they work. Why it's got 2. You can sort of see 3 on here. You've got 1, 2, and the third one is right here for triceps. But tricep brachii, bicep brachii. The other ones are up here on the arm, in the forearm. Okay, this muscle right here on this area is the brachioradialis. And it's the one that, you see, it goes over here towards your radial side is. This allows you to flex your forearm. And that's 1, 2, 3. And then last was your deltoid. Everybody knows where their deltoid is, right?
Sure.
Christine didn't look too concerned about that.
No. Oh, is that the shoulder?
Yeah, it's right here. And then your trapezius is right here. And this is your deltoid right here. We've already counted trapezius, so there's 1, 2, 3 brachioradialis. That's supposed to be over there. And I will, before I put this exam out, I'm going to give you all some practice work on it. This takes me, I'm having to build everything from scratch. This class just went online, which is fine. I don't mind doing that, but don't have just like anything I can just give you to. Normally, I'd send you all home with worksheets, have you name these and fill them out. You know, actually look through your book form and stuff, but not everybody has scanners and things like that, so it's kind of difficult to do. All right, so let's look at the front here.
Mama, we're hungry. I haven't eaten.
Really, the only one we can only see 2 of them here. We got gluteus maximus, right?
Hungry.
Right here is this one right here is the medius. It's gluteus. This is the one we give injection sites in. A lot of people, a lot of students always think, oh, we give shots in the big muscle in the butt. No, we don't. We give it in the medius. The reason why is there's a sciatic nerve that runs underneath it here. And so if you were to give a shot in here, you got a risk of damaging that nerve with an injection. So usually it's up in this area. Whenever we're giving shots, we got this couple of little different tricks we can do. Sometimes we'll just make an imaginary cross on the butt like this, and we'll go into this upper corner. The shot can just go anywhere up here, and you'll probably be safe. Sometimes they'll do that, and they'll do one more cross, and they'll give it like somewhere right here. Other times, they will say, if I could turn this guy, make him just look at him from the side, I would put my hand, I'll put the palm on the hip right here, the ball of the hip, and I would point my thumb this way towards their butthole, and I would just give a shot right in this area, kind of like an imaginary web. I know it. Let me get rid of some of this. So I would put my palm here, my fingers would be going this way, my thumb will be going that way. I would just give a shot right there. Or I would do my thumb over this way. And that gives me kind of a clear area away from that nerve down here to give an injection. A couple different ways to practice. We'll cover that more when we come to injections and stuff. But you got 2 muscles here. And this is the one we give injections in. And it's right there. Okay. Moving on. Let's look at the lower thigh. I think I'm going to look at the posterior first. So this back here, this area, it's what we know as your hamstring. But the hamstring is actually made up of a group of muscles. I wish I wouldn't zoom out like that. I'm sorry. That's what their job is. They flex the leg and they extend the thigh. So what does that look like? If I'm going to take my leg and flex it, that means I've got to take this area and make this angle smaller. Right here's what I'm talking about. If this is an angle at 180 degrees, if he were to raise his knee up, the angle there, it would actually close. Okay, that's flexion whenever you close an angle like that. If you extend it, he's making it straight again. So the muscles that allow you to do that are right here. Flexes and extends the thigh. If I want to take my leg and do it straight out, it's going to be a different type of muscle. This is called the bicep femoris. And we already know what bicep means sort of now because it's got two heads, right? And it's around the femur bone. And you can see there's two heads here. And then if I had my model with me, we could take these muscles out. And if you look a little deeper, you would see your semimembranous, and semitendinous in here. But they're deep. You'd have to go down in the layers. I'm not going to ask you about any of these muscles right here. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of like, oh, I pulled my hamstring. You'll hear people say that a lot. Well, maybe you'll know now that hamstring is a group of 4 big old muscles on the back side of your thigh. Biceps brachii, semimembranous, and semitendinous. I will ask you, it is fair game that I ask you what these muscles do, okay? You should know their names, or the hamstrings. I'm not going to ask you to identify them, though, on a picture like this. I'd say my second favorite muscle, other than the sternocleidomastoid, is this muscle right here. It's the longest muscle in the body. It's called sartorius. It's just got a neat name, I think. Flexes the thigh, rotates the leg, kind of runs across the front of your thigh there. See it. Let's look at this one right here. Oh, I didn't know I had a highlighter. Cool. Okay, so here's my sartorius. This one, so the front of the thigh, we've got a few different muscles here. One is the vastus lateralis right here. This is where you give shots for infants and kids because it's often developed a lot. If they've been walking long enough, you can give them a shot there because that muscle's developed enough if they've been walking. Diabetics sometimes can give them a shot there. You see like people give an EpiPen in it, but it's not really generally used all the time, just for kids and those special occasions. But that's an important one I want you to remember. And then the other one down here, and it's on the lateral side, so it makes sense. Okay, is this vastus medialis? No, I'm sorry. This is the can't see the medialis. Yeah, I'm right. I'm right. It's in the middle. Actually, I'm wrong. This is hard. So I'm looking at page 145 in my book. This one on the front is rectus femoris. And it makes sense because it's running straight up and down. This one right here is vastus medialis. And that makes sense because it's on the medial aspect of the body and this one's on the lateral here. Sorry for that confusion. You can kind of see it right there. Okay. Do I need to cover those again or review that, or you feel like you could identify them? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And here's how I got 5 and 2. Here's the 2 for your rump. 1, 2, 3. So it is. One, two, three, 4. Okay. So it is 6. All right. And now go look down here at the lower leg a little bit. The easiest ones to remember here are your calf muscles, and that's right here. They got a cool name, gastrocnemius. Your calf muscles. These allow a tippy toeing. If this muscle flexes here, so I'm going to say it scrunches up, what happens to your foot? It goes down, right? You can go either way, actually. Oh, of course, flexion. What I'm trying to get at is, if your foot is going down like that, this is the plantar side, right? Anybody ever had plantar fasciitis in their foot? It is the worst. That would be, if this foot is going down, that would be plantar flexion. On page 147 at the top right, okay, it says these muscles are strong plantar flexors of the foot, meaning your calf muscle lets you plant your foot when you're hitting the gas, okay? These on the front, so that's me saying, hey, I would like for you to know not only just the name of the muscle, but this is what gives you plantar flexion in your foot. It's what allows you to do that. It's a function of the muscle. Brachioradialis flexes the foramen. Orbicularis oris lets you pucker your lips to whistle. Buccinator lets you puff your cheeks out. Orbicularis ori, or oculi, is the ones that you can wink with, you know. Functions, sternocleidomastoid helps you turn your head. So finishing up the body here, we got tibialis anterior. And this gives you dorsiflexion. The name of the muscle is tibialis anterior. All right, dorsal flexion is your foot coming up this way. So this means if you were to feel for a pulse right here, it'd be the dorsalis pulse, and then whenever you're trying to feel for people's pulses in their feet. Everybody's heard of a plantar's wart, I'm sure, on the bottom of your foot. There's like an old myth, if you put a pin in your shoe, it'll make it go away. Plantar is the bottom of the foot. All right, let's go look at these movements real quick on page 141. Actually, you know what? I already know extension, flexion, hyperextension. I'm going to send you a video to watch on those, and it'll be better to, that'll be easy to figure out. Abduction, adduction, those are easy. I just explained dorsiflexion. I just explained plantar flexion to you. Remember flexion, okay, anytime you're closing this angle, making it smaller, anytime you're taking an angle and making it wider is extension. And you can see where that would happen. Here, I talked about it in the thigh. You can do it with your wrist, you know. If this is my radius, Aaron, are you listening? Are you there?
Yeah.
If this is my radius and I take my hand and bend it this way, what would you call that? Just guess out of the words we've learned in the past 20 minutes. If I'm taking this angle and I'm making it smaller.
Um,
Remember what bone is on this side? The radius?
minimus?
Huh?
Minimus?
If I'm making it smaller, if I'm taking that angle and I'm making it smaller like this, when I do my wrist, that's radial flexion. The opposite is ulnar flexion. Was that a look of frustration, Christine?
Oh yeah, I'm going to have to review this whole thing several times.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't fret. So you got flexion extension. You got hyperextension, which means we're going way past the angle. That's mainly we only say that when we're talking about the neck. Okay. So if this right here is extension in my wrist, because I can have my wrist bent like down like that, that would be flexion. If I move it up where it's straight, that would be extension. And then if I took my wrist and did it this way, that would be hyperextension. Okay, because I'm going past the extension point. Same with your neck. If I just took that and just turned it on its side, I could say the same thing for the neck. So you got those three. You've got adduction and abduction. And the key to remembering these here are their prefixes. So add and like abduct. If this is the midline of my body and I take my arm and I move it out away from my midline, that would mean I'm abducting. I'm taking it away from the midline. It's being abducted. But if I move it back towards the midline, I'm adding it back to the midline. I'm adduction. So here's what it looks like. This is abduction, and this is adduction. Inversion, if you look at page 142, inversion and eversion are the ones I like to call, did I step in poop? Because when you're walking and you're like, did I just step in something? You're doing this number, you're looking, you're turning your foot, your eversion and your inversion. That's what you're doing, looking on the bottom of your shoe. Did I just step in something? You're looking at the bottom of it. And then supination and pronation. So everybody knows, well, maybe you don't know, I don't know. The prone position, okay. That was a bad drawing. Prone position is okay. If I'm laying in my bed on my face, this is prone. Supination is if I'm laying on the bed on my back, this is the supine position, meaning you're facing up. So if I take something, like my forearm, for example, and I want to supinate it, that means I'm going to turn it up like this. So supination. And pronation is just turning it back down. Okay. Any questions about that? You can skip the part in the book about stimulus for contraction, skeletal muscle, and oxygen debt. I probably won't cover that. If I do, it'll be a video lesson. It'll be detailed, and you'll have time to just relax and watch it. I don't think I'll ever really get to add that though. But the last count here was 1, 2. Okay. That's 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, 27 muscles.